We're live. I'm live, and I'm happy to speak to all of you alive and live. My name is Dr. Tovah Goldfine. I'm streaming live from Israel. It's 2000 here. It's 8 o'clock, and all around the world. I hope you chime in a little bit this evening, whether it's live in the studio or on Facebook or on the YouTube. It'll be on tonight or tomorrow. I'm very excited to be here. And I've been coming alone for the last few months. Rose has been on a healing journey. So every one of these shows is in honor of her healing journey and dedication to her amazing work that helped me with this program. We started 3 years ago, and God willing, she'll be back. But now you got me. I am so excited, first of all, about the next few weeks of guests. This amazing doctor, her name is Dr. Talia Steed. She's from Perth, Australia. She's coming with me next week on the show. It will be during my day. It'll be evening, and anyway, she's going to go live from Perth in the evening. I'll let you know the times. She's a medical doctor who became a holistic doctor because of on a healing recovery journey with her own gut issues. Has a profound message about knowing yourself and how that's the healing remedy, which is, again, body, mind, and soul. It's so chemical to know yourself and have a relationship with yourself. I met an interesting gentleman who healed from migraines and addiction to histamines, allergies, and he's going to join us. An interesting story. And then if you all remember Robert from a few months ago from Britain, who wrote a book, healed himself from every itis. He was in a wheelchair, ankylosing spondylitis, other things, sinusitis, did a lot of studying nutrition. The doctor said he was the worst case they'd ever seen of autoimmune. He healed himself with the Sarna work, among other things. He wrote a book. Well, he's going to come on the show because he met somebody who he helped heal ankylosing spondylitis, and he will join us. I'm excited about having some other guests on the show. But now you have me, and I'm excited tonight to talk about a few really important things. And I sent a beautiful infographic to the Facebook page. And I'm going to bring it up to show you. Here it is. I'm going to just hide me and show. I'll show me. And I'll show it. And I want to talk about how to implement and apply some of these very familiar things that we hear about, we talk about, we know, we try it, it works, it stops working. I didn't figure out the magic, but I do understand why so many of us are struggling, suffering still on our healing journey. And it really sometimes becomes an information game that we just know too much. We've healed before, we've healed cancer, we've healed headaches, we've healed so many things. We're not healing this. And I read something the other day which said, we have too much information. We need to apply the courage. It was something like, it's not about the information, it's about the courage. And when I speak more about the courage, I'm talking about the fear. I'm talking about the fear-pain cycle. And this is a topic that we spoke about last week when I came on live. But this week I want to talk about how we really, you see, fear is about the thoughts. the thoughts is what I realize is the key for many of us. And not just to be positive or to get rid of them or to journal. It's deeper for some of us who are still suffering. So when I saw this infographic, I got a brainwave, as Rose would call it. I also have been reading this book about quantum physics by Dr. Tara Swart, a psychiatrist who became a scientist. And then, of course, I'm reading a lot about the placebo with Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And as I got more, I've been reading about this for years, but like Rose says, I had a brainwave. Something clicked for me, personally and spiritually. And by the way, any of you on the Facebook that want to interact with me and ask questions, please, let's have a discussion. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love your questions. I'd love to hear anything tonight as I'm speaking and sharing some, not just information. I am asking all of you to think about some of the things we're going to talk about here and how you can apply and implement. It's been a little bit of my MO for the last year about really putting it into my life, using it when I'm most triggered, when I'm most stressed, when I'm most freaked out, when I'm most full of fear, when I'm most anxious. That's the opportunity. We don't use these on a yoga mat. We don't use these when we're not in symptomatic. We don't apply it. We don't have the need. So it's kind of, I would like you to think about not avoiding the pain, not avoiding the triggers, but folding into it, folding into the resistance, as they say. It's a book called Reaching into the Resistance. Meeting your anxiety, meeting your symptoms. So speaking about anxiety, I found this definition of anxiety, which if I were to ask anyone off the bat, like, what does anxiety mean? I might not have had an answer. Is anxiety a thought, a feeling? So some people think it's a feeling. Yeah, I feel anxiety. I feel anxious. But actually, it's not a feeling. It's actually a thought. And it's a word we put on a behavior. Listen to this. I love this definition. And I'm happy to send you this YouTube from a Dr. Brad Finestall. I hope to have him on my show. He talked a lot about anxiety and mind body. It was a fascinating YouTube. Listen to this definition. Anxiety is a protective signal from the brain, just like pain is. Protective signal, like I'm protecting you. So anxiety is a protective signal from the brain, and it activates your fight, flight, and freeze. So it's a trigger. It triggers your fight, flight, and freeze. It's a message from your brain to your body, and you can either listen or you can cover it up. So here's the thing. We feel triggered. We either stuff it, have a cigarette, have a joint. I'm not against cigarettes or joints. I'm about getting to the cause of where the anxiety is coming from. Every time I feel anxious, I might take a sip of coffee. I might do a couple sit-ups. I might do a couple push-ups. I'm on my knees doing push-ups now. I used to be able to do them without going on my knees, but I can do twice as many on my knees. Anyway, I understand that I feel anxious. So what I'm asking you is to ask yourself, what is the cause? What's driving that anxious feeling? What's causing the brain to go on fight and flight? So again, anxiety is a protection signal, a signal from the brain, and it's activating your fight and flight. That's what happens when we feel anxious. But the brain many times protects you. And this becomes the cycle of fight and flight and doesn't stop. And then we're in chronic symptoms or chronic anxiety. Many times we just feel anxious and it stops. For some of us, it's become a cycle. It's a protective signal from the brain, activates your fight and flight, and you can decide to listen or cover it up. Here's the key. You can decide to listen to it, see what it has to say, what's the message, what's the core feeling, fear, anger, shame, guilt that's driving the brain to cause the symptom. Again, we want to get to the bottom line. We don't want to just cover it up. And yet, like I said to a client today, I'm okay with a cigarette, a joint. You want to take an Advil. This is not the issue here. You're allowed to take something to help the symptom, the pain. But let's get to the cause so you can live a healthy and vital life and not be a victim of any pain or any symptom. So why I liked this chart, which is on the Facebook page, is because I wanted, where's that paper? I want to discuss some of the main ones. I don't want to just talk. I don't think our work is just about talking. It's about applying and implementing. It's about using it when we need it, using it when we most feel it. And if it doesn't work, do it again. Because journaling doesn't work or my affirmations don't work, it doesn't mean it's not going to help you. It's a relationship with your journaling. It's a relationship with your affirmations. And what the research is telling us is repetition, 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 repetition. And we know we have to keep doing something that we know. Journaling affects your brain. Journaling affects your neurons. Journaling will bring about a neurological change. It's been studied. Affirmations, visualizations. So catch this. This will all change your brain. Joe Dispenza is not just talking out of his backside. This book, it's not just some fancy doctor talking. She's teaching us how to apply it. And in her book, she even talks about an activity board. And I thought, oh, vision board, activity board. But because it's changing the brain. So again, I would have never thought this research was so important. But when our brain, we can build a new pathway. Our brain can then communicate with our heart. Our heart can then communicate with our brain. It becomes a heart-brain game. I'm convinced this is the way out. Now, I'm not saying other ways work, but for some of us, just hear me out, okay? So setting clear intentions. I thought, right intentions, wake up every day, jot down what I'm going to do, look at my list. But you know what happens in the morning? And I learned this from Joe Dispenza and a couple other guys. We wake up and we go right to the worry card. We go right to what's wrong, what's going on, what hurts. Well, this is coming from your primitive brain. This is happening because your brain is protecting you. It's wired that way. I wouldn't have understood the primitive brain in the caveman, but that's exactly what's happening for some of us because we came out of survival mode, because we grew up with trauma. We're predictive coding. There's a predictiveness of yes, I'm going to wake up and things are going to be bad. So we got to relearn that. We got to rewire that. Got to stop, look at the evidence. I woke up. Yeah, I have some discomfort, but there's really no threat. I'm safe. It's not physical pain. It's coming from my brain. Let me set some intentions. And some of the research is about setting the intentions the night before. I thought this was brilliant. So the night before, write down 3 things you want to do the next day, 3 things you want to accomplish. clearly state what you want to accomplish. And the most important thing is if you don't accomplish those things, you have forgiveness, you have patience, you have hope, you have belief. This is all chemical. So this is about loving yourself, trusting yourself, believing in yourself. And this is what we'll speak about next week with Dr. Talia Steed. It's really about a love game. You know, I said last week, you can't heal a body you hate. I know it's hard to have fibromyalgia. I know it's hard to have pain and not walk. But if you find the greater message and the greater goal and the greater magic, it's a whole nother topic about healing a body that you're so disconnected to and that you hate. But I'm asking you to stop and think about, if love is chemical and awareness is chemical and love heals, which we know it does. Watch the movie Love Heals. I can send you a link. I think it's $10. We have to love ourselves. We have to love the part of us we even hate. Hear me out. And we have to love the part of us that we even hate. We have to accept the part of us that we're pissed at. We have to accept the part of us that are traumatized. We have to accept the part of us that have been abused. You know, I was talking to, I forget which guest it was. It was about, you know, not forgiving, God forbid, the person that abused us. But there is something to loving the part of us that hated that person. It's like not forgiving that person ever, but it's this relationship with us, because that person and that experience is stopping us from healing. And again, we know that intellectually. We know that we have to forgive, but there's something that has to happen. And it is about love and awareness. So I'm asking you to set clear intentions each night before you go to bed about what has to happen this morning. You know, directing your energy towards your goal, setting goals. I think this is a powerful, powerful thing. Okay, another one of these manifestation techniques, which again, it's all the Joe Dispenza work. It's all the quantum physics work, and I'm convinced that this is the way out. It's the same thing that Gabor Mate is saying. It's the same thing that Sarno said. It's nothing different than what Dr. Schrubener is saying. We're all saying it a different way, and we'll all heal in a different way. I'm saying to us, how can we keep applying and implementing this work? And yes, they say you need to fall 7 times and get up 8. It is not about failure. It's about getting up and down until your brain starts to understand what getting up means. And your brain starts to realize that you're just down for a second, not 10 seconds. That your symptoms, well, they came and went quicker. Or you're going to have more aha moments. I mean, many things can happen when your brain starts to wire differently, because you're wired differently, because you're firing differently. So you're going to wire differently. This is the brain. And when you realize that you've learned pain, you've learned anxiety, that you can unlearn it. So another one of these tools. And again, stop me with any questions, any comments. I'd love to have a discussion with you. I know what my voice sounds like. I hear me talk all the time. But another really powerful manifestation technique that I had an aha moment last week. Well, when we affirm and we write out, an affirmation, and we kind of, script, which I'm going to talk about also, scripting and affirming, we want to say an affirmation, we want to write it down. Well, many times we're affirming from a place of lack, or I don't have this and I want this. I'm not sleeping and I need sleep. I'm not exercising and I want to exercise. I would like you to shift for a minute on a different pair of glasses. And this is the science. And I was talking to a colleague who is like a Joe Dispenza kind of person in Israel. And she tweaked it for me. And I didn't get it. I mean, I've been talking about affirmations, but it kind of tweaked for me. I kind of learned it. And I have a different experience. And I'm asking you to think about this. What if you affirmed from a place that you already have what you want? And this is part of the scripting and acting out as if, which is more of the manifestation techniques. If I'm acting like I have what I need, even if I don't, I'm not lying to myself. I'm not negating. I'm not fighting. It's like, I would like to get some sleep. I don't have a lot of energy, but I'm grateful that I can even be having this relationship with my affirmations. I'm grateful for the 4 or 5 hours sleep. I'm grateful for the opportunity to understand my brain and that I can change my brain, that my brain is malleable, and that my brain listens to everything I tell it, that I am the pilot, I am the navigator. I understand that I want something, but if I can come from a place of creation and believe that I was sleeping 8 hours a while ago, or I did have no pain, or I did heal cancer and now I need to heal something else, if I can come from that place of an experience that I have what I need and I would like to create a better relationship with it. So, and I would like to desire to have this, but I'm grateful. I'm in a place of that I already have, like acting as if I act as if I have what I need, if I act as if I can exercise and move a little bit, if I can envision myself walking a few more steps and act as if I can handle the discomfort when I am walking or when I am trying to get moving from one place to another, if I can come from that place and ask the universe to join me, it's a different experience. It's a different affirmation. Okay, the universe is you. You are the universe. It's not like I need something from the universe. It's like this energy, and this is chemical, and this becomes your connection to your parasympathetic nervous system because you're in this calm place of I have what I need and I'm desiring this. I'm acting as if I'm emulating the behaviors and actions and desires I want. You know, Joe Dispenza says that if you want love and you want a special person, a special thing, a special behavior, a special amount of money, that you need to act, you need to be that person. He says you need to write down the qualities of the money that you want, or the qualities of the body that you want, or the qualities of the health that you want, the qualities of the person that you want to attract. And you need to start acting like that. Then the universe and you are in direct partnership. The brain begins to hear and feel, and this becomes a vibration. And Joe and this woman, they talk about this woman who wrote this book, The Science of the Universe, The Science of the Brain. I just lost my train of thought. If you begin to act like it, then you begin to attract it. Now, this becomes a chemical reaction. And what I love about this woman is I started to follow her because she said, I'm proving the law of attraction. And she's calling it the source. She said, I'm going to prove it scientifically. I was like, okay, I want to hear what you have to prove. You want to prove the law of attraction. Okay. And she's doing it. She's doing it by all these things on this sheet. In her book, she's talking about the brain and she's talking about the parasympathetic nervous system. But she's also talking about how if you want to attract good health, a different body, a relationship, a better salary, then there are ways to do it. And it is an action game. It's not just like, sitting on the yoga mat waiting for peace. You're going to have to go bring peace to you. You're going to have to go. Look, I don't say you're going to have to go protest war, but it is a relationship with peace. And I think what this chart did, what attracted me about it was that now I get to see these different manifestation techniques, and each one I can think about and I can agree with, but how am I applying it? How am I acting as if I want to be out of pain? How am I acting as if I want a decrease in symptoms? Now, what I like about the pain reprocessing therapy work and the Alan Gordon work is that I'm exposing myself to the pain. I'm being with the pain. I'm having a relationship with the pain. I'm having coffee with the pain. Because first of all, it's not dangerous. I know my body's not attacking me. I know my body's not punishing me. I know my body's protecting me. So I want to be with this sensation. And the more I can befriend it, the more it doesn't need to be there. Because mostly I'm resisting it, I'm fighting it, I'm scared of it, I'm pissed at it, I'm angry at it, I want it to go away. As opposed to, let's witness this, let's observe it, let's recognize it, let's give it, let's understand it, and let's understand our fear and anger around it. So I'm getting off my topic. So if you wanted to act as if, I'm not going to say don't have pain. I want you to act as if this pain can't hurt you. I want you to act as if there's no danger. And what that is somatic tracking, is being with the pain, is being with the symptom, is going out and exercising, is going out and working in your job when you thought that you couldn't, rather than think, I'll go back to work, I'll get my job, I'll continue school when the pain goes away. No, it's the other way around. You've got to go ahead and be in your life. It's like sitting by the pool and thinking, I need to jump in. And I'm thinking about it and I'm dreaming about it and I'm fantasizing about it. But you need to be in your game. Lots of times we're spectators of our life. We're watching our life and we're not really in our life. And that's what the intellectual mind does. It kind of keeps us disconnected. And I'm asking you to connect, to have a different relationship with yourself, to love yourself, to have more awareness, to be more mindful, which is a lot of these techniques. They're all mindful techniques. I'm asking you to please apply the journaling in a way, because journaling is a big is a big talk on the show and a big talk. And it's, look, Journal Speaks is very popular. Nicole Sachs' work is very popular. People are still suffering. And when Nicole Sachs was on my show, I said, why isn't journaling working for so many people? She said, Tovah, people are lying to themselves. So I'm asking you, that I have something to show you here. 1 second. What did I do with this? I think it's on my bed, but I'm asking you because I have something. Oh, I wanted to show it. Where is it? 1 second. Nope. I must have lost it. Anyway, it's a paper and I'll send it. It says, don't duck. Don't lie to yourself. Show up. And as a woman gave it to me, it was about meditating. And how many times sometimes do we meditate and we're ducking and we're not showing up and we're not working our brain. It's hard to meditate. It's hard to journal. These are not easy things, but it is a relationship with yourself. So what Nicole Sachs was saying is that if the journaling isn't working for you, or I think it's always working. I think when you journal, it's working. Even if you're lying, then you're aware, you're still showing up. But we have to look at what we're saying. We have to look at our words, look at our language, understand how we speak to ourselves. You know, the brain and body hear everything you're saying, even the unconscious mind. This brings us back to having a healthy relationship between your unconscious mind and your conscious mind. And this is the way out. Whether it's a relationship between your brain and your heart, or your adult and your child, this is the way out. This is an understanding of a language that has not been healthy. And even if I'm writing affirmations, if my unconscious is like, nah, it's not going to happen, Tovah, you're not going to get what you need, you're not going to get what you want, you're going to get what you desire, I'm more aware of now of my unconscious, and I'll write down, you know, I'm still having some doubt. But when you write down that you're having doubt, you're being honest. It's not about positive affirmations and positive thinking. It's about honesty. It's about not ducking. It's about not showing up. And none of us have been taught that. We're all learning that as adults, and that's what the pain is teaching us. That we are sensitive and strong, that we are doing the best we can. And again, we need to love the part of us that screws up. We need to love the part of us that keeps falling on our face. We need to love the part of us that is scared. We need to love the part of us that is losing courage in this journey. And what I learned more recently than in the, you know, I've been doing this for 38 years, but recently, I say the last 10 years, I've learned more about this work and been blown away. And in the last 3 years on my broadcasts and meeting people that are healing and seeing what they're doing, and nobody is healed. Nobody's cured. We're in recovery. We're all in recovery. You know, like Michael Galinsky says, we all have this disease called being human. We're all in recovery for being human. We're all on our journey. I lost my train of thought again. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to acting as if. So let's say I have some autoimmune symptoms. Let's say I have some itises, some inflammation. I'm not saying to, you know, to stuff the pain. I'm not saying to act like you don't have it. And I'm all for the mind, the body work. I'm all for getting a treatment. I'm not against that. Just understand what's causing your inflammation. What is the cause? And for most of us who would be even in this mind-body world, it's our brain, it's our triggers, it's our anxious thoughts, it's our habits, it's our lack of love, our lack of self-compassion, it's our impatience with ourselves. No, we are so patient with others. We are so compassionate with others. People with TMS are compassionate, loving people. This is part of the bittersweet of why we get neuroplastic pain. Sometimes we try too hard. Sometimes we want to fix things. Our ego, many reasons. But I want to go back to talking about how to apply, how to implement. So the journaling, when you write down what you are feeling, what you are thinking, your anger, your fear, your love, your desire. We're not talking about what you write down. It's just that you write it down. There's no science to what you write down. It's just about showing up, writing the truth, and repeating it. And you know what? You don't have to write every night. You can write down, I don't want to write tonight. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that your honest feelings? And the research is that will change something in your brain. It will neurologically shift the chemicals. And let me talk again about the chemicals. We are energy, and those energies, when they come together, they make a chemical reaction, and they make certain chemicals in our body. But it's really all energy. And chemical reactions are happening all the time. They're keeping us alive. And those chemical reactions can bring us health and can bring us disease. And I'm making a point because I did not learn this in chiropractic school. And I really only learned it recently. And I'll continue to say it on every broadcast if I can, that when you inhale a breath, and some of the research is through your nose and out your nose. I think it can happen in through your nose, out through your nose, mouth. I don't think it matters. But in the deep diaphragmatic breath, you are activating your parasympathetic nervous system. You are creating a rest and digest. You are changing your chemicals. You are activating your vagus nerve, which connects, which has like a tree and tentacles out to every organ, tissue, and gland in your body, the vagus nerve. You activate that with your breath. You activate that by calming your mind. And the breath is one way to do it. The breath pulls you into the present moment. And it calms your brain and calms your mind. And for many of us, it can take away a symptom. It can reduce the symptom. It can turn the dial of pain down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. And it also changes your relationship to your symptom. Now, when you journal, it's also calming your brain. It's also affecting your nervous system. When you create affirmations and you stop and you think and you're visualizing, when you're acting as if, it changes your chemicals. So all these things, these manifestation techniques, have a chemical reaction. Everything in this book and everything in the placebo book, which I'm just starting to read all of these page by page. I've been talking about them and watching videos and watching YouTubes and posting tons of things for the last 3 years, but now I'm actually reading the books. Everything comes down to your thoughts, your behaviors, your emotions, and this all creates a chemical shift. And this can happen through journaling, through affirmations, through visualizing. Now, I know some people, let's go to visualization and really chime in here and speak to me. I love hearing myself talk, but I hear myself talk all the time. I'd love to interact with any of you in this broadcast today. So visualization, some of my clients say, Doc, it's not working for me. It's not working for me. Look, it worked for Joe Dispenza. He broke 6 vertebrae in a bike accident. Doctor said, you're going to be in a wheelchair for life. You got to get the surgery. He said, the body that created me can fix me. Okay. He can read it about, I'll send you a special YouTube. You can read it about it in his books. Anyway, his story is quite amazing. I don't think he's that special that you can't do that either. I think he has a tool and a method that he applied, and he folded into the resistance, and he trusted his body. I think you all have that 100%. So he healed his spine. He healed 6 vertebrae, and he didn't get the surgery. And he's, walking and talking, and he's now promoting this work. He's a chiropractor, but he swore that if he healed himself, he would become a neuroscientist, and he did. He visualized every day for hours and a day. He visualized his spine coming together. He visualized his bones healing. He visualized his disc healing. He visualized the nervous system. He visualized the nerves. And some days he'd see himself in a wheelchair and he'd say, I'm not ready yet. So if he saw himself in a wheelchair, he'd be like, it's not working. But he said, I need more work. I'm not ready yet. So visualization is a constant thing. And we all have an imagination. I know you do. You're all very creative, imaginative people. But if you can work on that visualization and you can put it in your mind's eye, and I want to veer off to something really important. There's a TED Talk that I'm happy to send to you where a woman talked about how to change your life by drawing your life. You can draw what you want, and that's how you can create what you want. But she said, you can't just draw it. You have to implement it. You can't just draw a new house or a new spine or a new partner or a new car or more money or better health. You have to go and implement it. And she gave an example. You can't just ask for more money and draw a new house. You have to go to your boss. You have to get a raise. You have to quit the job. You have to go back to the market. You have to apply. So if you visualize yourself without symptoms, if you visualize yourself without pain, you have to go ahead and cross that road, walk that path to heal. And you have to go ahead and implement what it takes to heal yourself. And lots of these manifestation techniques are part of the healing. Journaling, meditation, exercising with the pain, somatic tracking, period processing therapy, EFT, which I love, all of this, but it's a deeper relationship with it. And that's why I came on tonight, and I want to talk more about that. You guys are all doing amazing. I know you are. I know you're all trying. And sometimes we try too hard. I've been told that by my Hebrew teachers for 14 years. You're trying too hard. So I know in many ways, it's like, what do you mean I'm trying too hard? I'm saying to you, if you're trying too hard, it's not a bad thing. It's about the relationship with yourself. I'm trying too hard because I don't believe in myself. I don't trust that I can do it. I don't think I'm smart. And I want you to tell yourself the truth. If you don't think you can do this, remember, that's just a thought. You don't have to believe that. That's a thought that you buy into, and you made it a belief. You made it an emotion. You made it a behavior. It's not true. Okay, you guys can heal yourself. Okay, and I can learn Hebrew and get anything I want. It's a process. And so we look at the thing that we want, whether it's learning a language, wanting a relationship, wanting more income, wanting to heal, wanting to manifest a healthy body. we look at our relationship with that. It's not an intellectual relationship. It's a psychological one. I believe fully in the spiritual relationship. Okay, it's applying the knowledge that we know. Like I said, this other thing I posted on my page was, it's not about information, it's about courage. It's about having courage. It's about understanding our fear of failure. It's understanding our ego and knowing ourselves. So to kind of round this up a little bit, because I really don't want to keep talking. I mean, it is quite fascinating work, and it does really rev me up. And it's my life passion and my life mission. And I'm happy to give anybody, share anybody a complimentary consultation and help you on your journey, because it's really your work. You know, therapists are just messengers. Doctors, we just guide you. Coaches, we just guide you on your journey, but you got to do the work. And this is another powerful, a powerful image of, you know, I love the statement of, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And when the student is really ready, they don't need a teacher. So I know that a lot of you have been through a lot of therapies and methods. And I happen to think my therapy method is great. And I think it works for a lot of people. But it's really about how you show up and how you apply and implement. And that's the topic for tonight. And I will tell a story about a gentleman who hired me, and he fired me because he figured it out. He hired me for 8 treatments and stopped after 4. I gave him a refund. And we're really the closest, best of friends. I wanted him, he was on my Hebrew show. He's in Israel. He had a horrible, horrible RSI. I mean, horrible repetitive strain injury in his wrist. And he's a PhD in statistics, and very left brain, but a very sensitive, loving, sweet, sweet man. And he developed this horrible, horrible RSI for there was no injury. There was nothing. There was some trauma in his life, and there was some physical things, but nothing. Repetitive strain injury is absolute TMS, 100%. Carpal tunnel, ulcers, we know this. We know this by now. It does not mean your pain is not real. So he couldn't type on the computer for 6 minutes, 5 minutes without excruciating pain. In fact, we had our first appointment, and he was in crisis. He had a crisis, and he couldn't even show up because he was having a crisis and so much pain because he went on the computer for 10 minutes. So we ended up meeting and understanding what was going on. And he got really into the pain reprocessing work and the Alan Gordon work and the Sarna work, and he understood it, but he really applied it. And he understood that when he went on the computer for more than 5 minutes, it was a conditioned response. It was his body protecting him. It was enormous inflammation from his anxious thoughts to his wrist that was stopping him. And he understood his anxious thoughts were the cause, not the pain causing the anxious thoughts. It's the thoughts that come first. It's the fear that comes first. It's the fear, the anger, and the shame, and the sadness that trigger the brain, that cause the inflammation or the muscle tension. So we have to go to the cause. So he understood this. He understood the cycle he had of fear, pain, fear, pain, fear, pain. And he was able to go ahead and not only continue to type and be on the computer, but to understand that the symptoms weren't dangerous, that the inflammation was not going to get worse. So we developed a different relationship with his body, and now he can he can function 100%. Now, he still has flare-ups, because again, I don't use the word cure. I don't use the word impossible. I don't use the word incurable. I call it a journey, a process, recovery. But whenever you have symptoms, you know there's a message. And you know there's a deep core feeling driving your brain to protect you. And after the evidence that there's no lion coming, no fire, you know, you've had this checked out by your doctor. It's nothing serious wrong, nothing structural. It's chronic pain. It's chronic disease. This chronic disease and chronic pain are not normal, and they can be healed. And I've seen it over and over again. And you can recover, and you can be on this journey, and it can work for you. I had a train of thought, and I lost it there. Anybody want to chime in and talk with me a little bit? So, the interesting thing about this guy with the RSI was that he didn't love himself. He didn't like himself. He'd had something happen to his face, and he had surgery to it. I didn't notice it, but he was like a bee like honey. And he hated that part of his life that this happened, and he hated that part of his face. And again, I think he's a handsome guy, but he hated himself. And this manifested in his body, and his brain perceived a threat from his self-hatred, from his lack of compassion. And this was the key for him. And I went in my book on self-compassion. We talked a lot about the science of compassion. And you wouldn't think that this would be a key. Well, I love myself. I work out, I take care of myself, you know. But it's something deeper, self-love and self-compassion. And you're welcome, Melissa. I'm really so happy that I met you. And you're so welcome. And so the self-compassion runs deep. It's love heals. It's back to this awareness, which is chemical. Compassion is chemical. And we don't realize that we're abusing ourselves, that we're bullying ourselves, that we're in conflict. And the unconscious feels it. The unconscious knows it. And some of you know the research that the unconscious mind, it's 95% of our thoughts. And 99% of those 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. And 98% of those 99% of that 95% of those thoughts is negative. And I'm like, what is that statistic? And I researched it. And again, it goes back to the primal brain. We tend to worry. We tend to think negative. We tend to feel like a cloud is over our head. We tend to go towards the negative unless we can change our experience and create a new experience. And that's the Joe Dispenza work. Okay, that's the source. That's everything that we've been talking about tonight and pretty much the last 3 years on the TMS Roundtable. That is the way out. It's to understand that we can create and change our reality, even with the biggest of traumas, even with the sharpest of pain. We can change that experience by, number one, accepting it. By accepting our reality, not fighting, not trying to beat cancer, not trying to fix things. You know, Dr. Gabor Mate says that it's our experience of our trauma. Trauma's done. It's our experience that sits in our body. And that doesn't have to hurt us anymore. We can integrate that. You know, some of the work we did with the presence process was how we integrate the past into the present. We don't have to conflict with the past. We are our past. So we integrate it into the present moment. And like Joe says, have a predictable future, predict our future. We can control our future 100% by accepting our past, integrating it into our present, behave and act and feel and think how we want to be in the future. It's not going to be easy. It's not a muscle that we're used to building, but anyone can learn a new habit. 100%. Anyone can learn a new habit. And I want to give an example of that. It's a book called The Power of Habit. Okay. And a woman, she's biting her nails so much that she has gum disease because she's so much biting her nails that she is creating gum disease, creating infections in her gum. Okay. So she has to stop biting her nails. Okay. But it's a release of tension. Just like any of us that want to stop an addiction. And I was talking to someone tonight about an addiction to suffering, addiction to misery. You know, it's the Buddha that says that suffering is optional. So I don't want to have to talk about that right now because I don't blame you for suffering. I don't want you to blame yourself. But you can be as good at healing as you are at suffering. You can channel that incredible power that you created this drama and you can heal that. That's the power you have. You overcome adversity. You have overcome adversity in your life. You have survived enormous trauma in your life. So you can overcome this, not by like jumping over it or riding this wave. You just got to go through this shit. And it is an ebb and flow. And you've got to stay on the surfboard. Sit on it. I don't care what you do. Hang on it. But you're not drowning. So this woman who had to stop biting her nails, and thank you, Rita, addiction to fear is a big one. And I love the 12-step work. It really is about accepting that we have an obsession, an addiction. We think the more we do, it will go away. So we understand that. We're smart people. So what this woman had to do with her nails was she had to understand first that she gets a sensation. So all of you, you have a sensation of pain or a sensation of inflammation or a sensation of anxiety. I'm asking you to be aware of anxiety, to know what triggers you, to feel it. And I once had to look up, how do you know what you feel? How do you know that you're feeling anxious? Your pain, your body's telling you. You're sweaty. My eyes are blinking. My eyes blink a lot when I'm on the show. I notice when I see a repeat because I'm nervous. So my eyes will blink a lot, you know? And then I saw myself talking to Rose and my eyes weren't blinking. And I realized that my eyes blink a lot because I'm nervous. So that's a sign. We have tons of fight and flight mechanisms that teach us, that draw us into why we're anxious. Let me just get off that. So she has to realize she has a sensation. She wants to bite her nails. Okay? We all know this. We can all be aware of like that sensation before we, crack our knuckles or or whatever. She has to stop at that mindful place and realize that she wants to bite her nail. And she has to do something different because biting her nail is now not an option and it's not negotiable. She's not negotiating with her nails. She's hurting her gums. She's hurting herself. She's going to, with any addiction. So she gets the sensation. I want a cigarette. I want a drink. I want to fall into the pain. I want to bite my nails. So I'll tell you in a minute about the Joe Dispenza work. I'm happy to answer that. So she gets a sensation she wants to bite her nails. She stops for a minute, because you all know between a thought and a behavior, between a thought and an action, we have a moment. And in that moment is your freedom. This is Viktor Frankl work. This is a lot of the work about between the thought and the action. We have a moment to decide to make a different, a healthier choice. That's your freedom. So she feels the sensation of wanting to bite her nails. She does not bite her nails. She takes a second and she rubs her fingers. She chews some gum. She takes a bite of an apple. Okay? She does something else to calm that trigger. And this is how she began to unlearn the habit of biting her nails. So that's just another example. There's tons of examples of that. But I would love to tell you which book. It's, first of all, the one book, it's called The Placebo by Joe Dispenza. He has another book, another amazing book called, I forget the exact name, Losing the Habit of Being Yourself. I don't think it's called Losing the Habit of Being Yourself. It's called, it's not Stopping the Habit, but he's speaking in that book about you have to reinvent yourself. He's not saying don't be yourself. He's saying you have to evolve. You have to be the person you want to be. Breaking the Habit. Thank you, sweetheart. Breaking the Habit. Yeah, it's another amazing book. His third book is Supernatural. It's a little out there, and I didn't get that book, but for some of us, it's a great book. His YouTube is on, it's called I Healed Myself of a Broken Back, and he talks about when he healed his 6th vertebra. So the habit, it's like the habit to suffering, or sometimes I have to say to a patient, a client, and I always preface it like, I'm not speaking at you about anything that I haven't gone through. So when I ask this question, it's out of love and compassion as a person who had TMS, as a person who had trauma, as a person who is on a healing journey, as a person who's now privileged to have the opportunity to help you, who's a person who has been asked this same question 1,000 times. What is this pain and symptom doing for you? How is it working for you? How is it serving you? It can come off kind of mean, but it's more of like, I want to hold the vessel for you to tell the truth and go deeper and understand that you are the doctor. You are the therapist. You can heal yourself. You can bring a healing. I was going to say you can. It's like the solution is inside of you. The body was well, and then it got imbalanced. The body, you were born perfect, kind of like the word perfect, but you were born, and the body created this condition. And so the body can heal it. You know, the body has the solution before the problem. That's the power of this work. That you are the placebo. This is the name of this. This is the book. And, you know, every doctor we talk to knows about the placebo effect. Every doctor we know, we talk to knows about the phantom leg and how he has to heal the pain from his brain. And yet we're not told that in the medical community. It's not the doctor's fault. They're not trained to go there. But these are the most powerful healing tools. And we would not have a medical society. We wouldn't need medical doctors. I would be out of business if we could all apply. And I'm saying this because a medical doctor is helping us with many things. And I'm not against the medical community, but there are many of these conditions that we all have that will not get healed in the medical world. So I'd love to hear from any of you that have visiting this broadcast. I'm so happy that some of you chimed in. And if you have any questions, you know I'm always available. I offer anyone a complimentary consultation with lots of tools and lots of insights. This is the way that I do make a living. And I do have a treatment program that has worked for so many people. And I will tell one more story of how somebody healed from the work that I do. But again, I do the pain reprocessing method. I work with John Sarno. I work with Dr. Schreibener. And I had this wonderful woman who, she was on my show. And actually, I want to talk more about this soldier. Soldier was on my show. And he was on the show in Hebrew. I would bring him my show in English. He doesn't speak such good English. We kind of faked it till we maked it. But maybe he will come on the show. He was an amazing soldier, captain in the army, and had excruciating pain. Loved to run, but the pain got worse and worse. And he came to me with the Sarno book in Hebrew. And it was wonderful to bring the cultures together of the Hebrew and English, because the Sarno book, as you know, is in 30 languages. And the movie All the Rage, if you haven't seen the movie All the Rage, you must see it. It's been seen in 80 countries. So the Hebrew version, a lot of people have read, it's the Hebrew version, mind body prescription, not the feeling back pain. So this gentleman picked up the book and he had a very, very difficult time. He was not an emotional person. He had a very, very difficult time journaling. He would call me and say, I don't know what to journal. I don't know what to write. And he slowly developed communication with himself and a communication with his pain. And this was before I took the pain reprocessing therapy. But because this is somatic tracking, which a lot of us therapists apply, and it's very powerful work because it is talking to your pain, it is talking to your brain. And he was able to begin to calm himself down and understand that his pain was not against him, his body was not punishing him, and he's back running. And he had 10 years of chronic back pain. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. And, Rose and I always talk about the 40% of the people, 60% are getting healed from this work, and the 40% that are not. That's what Dr. Schreibener says. But so we want to address the people that are struggling, people that it's taking more time. They're not accomplishing their goals. They're not out of pain. They're not getting what they want. And this is why I wanted to talk about this tonight. And it'll be on the YouTube tomorrow because there were a lot of great tools that we spoke about. But I'm going to end this with, please don't give up on yourself, because you have no one else but yourself to help you through this. 2, there are great therapists and coaches and people to support you. We're here for you. There are a number of free things you can do without paying money. Sometimes when we do pay, we do show up. We do show up better. And most of the coaches, and I know I do, we work with you financially. We know it's not an easy world. We just came out of COVID, and it's not an easy time for a lot of us financially. But the other thing is that I want you to understand the power, the biology of belief, which is one of Bruce Lipton's book. The biology of the cells, the biology of believing in yourself, the truth of loving your pain, the truth of, I'll tell you in a minute, Melissa, I'll send you the video. It's called, it's on YouTube. It's called, I Healed a Broken Back. or healing my broken back. The other thing about believing in yourself is it's like, oh no, I was talking about loving your cancer and loving your fibromyalgia. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, I can't love this pain. And I'm asking you to do what Dr. Clark talks about. He talked about it on 3 of my shows. He's quite amazing. Please go back to the YouTubes with Dr. David Clark. He's a gastroenterologist who's now running the PBDA, the Physio-Psychological Disorders Association. He's an amazing doctor, wrote a book called They Can't Find Anything Wrong with Me. He believes most of our pain and symptoms are from trauma. And this is why he taught, because it's about loving yourself. It's about self-care, self-love, self-compassion. And he asks you to be a butterfly on the wall of your childhood. And he'll say this each time on my show. Can you be a butterfly on the wall of your childhood and have compassion for yourself, like you do a young child, like you do a dog, a puppy? And can you be compassionate for the adult that came from that precious child? So I'm all talked out. Not really, but I'm going to stop. I'm so happy some of you are in the studio tonight and visiting. I see your names. I see that you've chimed in. I'm really thrilled. I'm blessed. I'm privileged. I'm one privileged human being. And you can all contact me if you need me. Got some really amazing people coming this month, so I do hope that you'll visit. It's not always the best time in America, I know, because for me to go to America at nighttime, I did it a couple of times. I came in at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. I could do it because I do want to go live in the USA Eastern time. But mostly I come in at 1 or 2 or 3 in East Coast. Anyway, to be continued. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. If anyone you know wants to be a guest on my show. Oh, by the way, we don't have people on the show that have healed or cured. We have people on the show that are in recovery on their journey. So I would love to meet with any of you in my studio because it's very healing to sit here. Do you know how many times I've been fearful to come on here alone? Honest to God. I want you to know, people, I've been full of fear to do this. So if any of you want to come and sit next to me here in this virtual studio, I would be blessed. I would be honored to sit with you. And it can be very, very healing to be talking about yourself, about your symptoms, about your healing, about your journey, about your falling 8 times and getting up 9. And yes, Sinad, I'm loving that you're in Ireland. I know Europe is a wonderful time, you know, UK, and I'm in Israel. So I'm very happy to meet you and in your evening time. So anyway, blessings to all of you. My heart goes out to you, and the best is yet to come. And the belief and the compassion and the love is all chemical and will heal you in your sleep, in your awake time. And just stay on your process. Trust this process. You can heal. You will heal. You are healing. Visualize healing. Manifest healing. You know, the pain is the healing. The pain is the part of you saying, please come close. Please listen to me. Please accept me. Please love me. The pain is not here to hurt you. Your body is protecting you, and you're finding out why and how. So good night and God bless.